my mom declared. You know, you spent $720,000 preserving our home. Still, we're granting the house to your sister, a wedding present. Then my sibling added, and do not attend my nuptials. I smiled, then asked, Dad, should I tell them, or will you? His utensil clattered, and that was merely the onset. A week later, her dream day altered. My phone vibrated with 60 unread calls. What would you do if your own family tried to steal the home you'd spent your life saving, turning it into a wedding gift for your sister, all while telling you you're not invited to the wedding because you make everything about yourself? Because that's exactly what happened to me. I'm Jerry, 36. I'm an orthopedic surgeon, the oldest kid, the go-to guy when a knee pops or a shoulder clicks. I fix rotator cuffs, hip fractures. It's what I do. I'm the steady one, the family insurance policy, the guy who shows up when things break. But this wasn't just broken. It was shattered. It was Sunday dinner, roast chicken on the table, sweet wine in the glasses, and a script my mom had already written. My dad poked at his plate like the peas held ancient secrets. My sister, Emma, 28, the sun of our household, kept glancing at her engagement ring, making sure it caught the light. Mom didn't clear her throat. She didn't soften anything. She just laid her napkin down like a judge setting a gavel and declared, her voice brittle and bright. I know you spent $720,000 to save our house, but we are signing it over to your sister as a wedding gift. The room tilted. The AC kicked on loudly. I could hear the ice machine in the fridge. Emma smirked, leaned back, and added the punchline. Oh, and don't come to my wedding. It's for immediate family and people who don't make everything about themselves. My fork hovered over the mashed potatoes. I could feel my pulse throbbing in the handle. I smiled. It wasn't a warm smile. Dad, I said, my voice carefully even. Should I tell them, or will you? His fork clattered, hitting the porcelain plate with a small, honest sound. Mom frowned. Tell us what? Emma's eyes widened, a performance of innocence. What is this, Jerry? Another lecture? I watched my dad's jaw tighten. The muscles fluttered. He stared at the table, the silence pressing down on us, heavy and suffocating. Nothing, he finally mumbled. There's nothing to tell. Okay, I said, slowly sliding my chair back. Then I'll tell it. That was the first crack. The night didn't end there. It was just where the mask began to slip. I grew up in that house, the one with the warped porch step and the azalea bushes my grandfather planted. Dad worked at the auto parts warehouse until his back gave out. Mom did everything and nothing. Lots of public displays of affection, church bake sales, and the kind of gossip that sounds like concern. Emma was the prodigy, piano, speech team, a trail of ribbons on the corkboard in the hallway. I was the kid with flashcards and calluses on my hands from scrubbing dishes at the diner after school. Medicine wasn't glamorous for me. Pre-med meant 2 jobs, a busted Honda with no heat, and a coffee addiction that probably shaved years off my life. In residency, I slept in call rooms that smelled like bleach and fear. My first year as an attending, mostly bones and budgets. I learned to build a life the way I set a fracture. Line up what's crooked, hold it steady, let it heal. The family dynamic never healed. It calcified. Mom's favorite line. We raised you, you owe us. It changed shape depending on the bill. Property taxes, the new roof, Emma's tuition, Emma's car insurance, the emergency plumber who turned out to be a cousin doing us a favor. Every ask came with a compliment I was supposed to swallow like bitter medicine. You're so successful now, Jerry. It's nothing to you. Dad never asked. He just looked tired. When the warehouse let him go, he stopped meeting my eyes. He started calling me Doc, like it was a joke that never quite landed. Emma never asked either. She demanded, Venmo me for the LSAT class. It's basically investing in the family. You want a lawyer in the family, right? When she didn't get into law school, the story changed. Okay, MBA, better. When she dropped out of that, the story changed again. Wedding planning is a full-time job. Years ago, when the recession hit and the adjustable rate mortgage my parents should never have taken spiked, the house started sinking. Mom called me, her voice thick with tears. They'll take our home. Jerry, your father will die if he has to move. I was on trauma call, had just scrubbed out from a femur nail. Sweaty, hungry, and stupidly hopeful. I'll fix it, I said. I wired the money. $720,000. Over time. First to stop the foreclosure, then to clear the liens. Then to pay off the second mortgage I didn't even know existed. It wasn't one check. It was a drip, drip, drip of crisis. Sheriff sale date, hey. Contractor lien, hey. Delinquent taxes, hey. Every transfer was labeled in my banking app. I took screenshots the way we take intra-op fluoros, proof of alignment. My thumbs learned the rhythm of my bank's two-factor code. At first, there were acknowledgments. Mom texted heart emojis and photos of the azaleas blooming. Dad sent a thumbs up. Emma posted a selfie on the porch. Home sweet home. Family forever. No tag, no credit. The credit came in other ways. Shifts I didn't take, vacations I canceled, a ring I didn't buy for a woman who eventually got tired of me choosing drama and left. My colleagues joked about my mystery mortgage. I joked back, because the other option was to admit I was financing my family's denial. Then they asked sharpened. Emma's fiancé, Zach, slid into the family group chat like he'd always lived there. Hey, big bro, he wrote once. Can we move the wedding to the house? It's a vibe. Saves costs, you know, since you've got it covered. Mom chimed in. Isn't that a lovely idea? We could host the rehearsal dinner, too. I typed and erased for 10 minutes. Then I wrote, let's talk after I get out of surgery. By then, I'd learned to keep receipts. The deed. The note I'd written to myself the night I wired the big one. The notarized agreement Dad signed 2 years ago when I told him I couldn't keep paying without clarity. We'd sat at the kitchen table, the same table as that Sunday dinner, and he'd finally met my eyes. I messed up, he said, his voice flat. I kept taking out lines to keep your mother happy. I didn't tell you because telling me would make him the villain. Because asking would make me say no. I told him I'd pay the arrears and the mortgage if the house transferred to an LLC I controlled. And I'd let them live there rent-free as long as they paid utilities and didn't encumber the property again. It wasn't an eviction. It was oxygen. He signed. We filed. The county clerk stamped it. I still have a photo of that green stamp on my phone. I didn't tell Mom. He didn't either. He said, she'll never forgive me if she finds out I lost the house. You didn't lose the house, I said. I saved it for all of us. He nodded. And we kept the secret like a bad splint. Something that holds, but not well. The emotional unpaid labor is harder to itemize, but I can. The midnight calls. Emma needs a deposit for the venue. The 6 a.m. calls. The water heater died. The way Mom would call me. Selfish if I paused. All that money and no wife. What are you even doing with it? Do you want us homeless? Every no I tried to practice came out as a yes, because no one else could carry it, and I couldn't watch them drown. The breaking point came 2 months before that Sunday dinner. I found out because a notary called me by accident. Hi, this is Denise from Mobile Sign, she said. Just confirming the deed gift tonight. Transferring 114 Remington to Emma and Zach. I was in clinic, 3 patients behind. I stared at the x-ray on my screen, wishing it could answer for me. I think you have the wrong number, I said, but I already knew she didn't. I called Dad. He didn't pick up. I texted him a photo of the stamped deed to the LLC with one simple line. We need to talk. He wrote back one word. Tonight. We sat in the garage, the place he hides to smoke cigars when Mom's mad. He couldn't look at me. She wants it, he said. She said you'd understand, that you'd be happy for your sister. It's not yours to give, I said. He rubbed his forehead. You'll make this ugly if you tell her. You already made it ugly by keeping her in the dark, I countered. He didn't answer. So I waited. I let him decide if he'd tell Mom the truth. He didn't. He let her build her gift in her head like a gazebo. He let Emma pick wallpaper on Pinterest. He let Zach measure the backyard for a tent. And then Mom invited me to dinner to announce the present I was supposed to applaud. That brittle brightness in Mom's voice again. It's symbolic, Jerry. Family continuity. Your grandfather left this house to us, and now we pass it to your sister. That's how families work. Emma crossed her arms. It's not like you need a house. You practically live at the hospital. Zach shrugged like a man on a couch. We'll take good care of it, bro. I pulled out my phone. I opened the photos, the album called House, the one with scans, records, wire confirmations. I put the phone on the table between the salt shaker and the pepper grinder. The first photo, the county record. Remington Place deed. Recorded grantee, our home, LLC. The second, the notarized occupancy agreement. The third, the bank transfers. April 4th, $185,000. June 19th, $152,000. September 1st, $210,000. A stack of smaller ones like stitches. Mom blinked at the screen, then up at me. What is this? The reality, I said. I paid. I recorded the deed. Dad signed an occupancy agreement. The house is in an LLC. I own the LLC. You live here rent-free. You don't get to give it away. Emma laughed, too loud. That's fake. You made a fake thing. She tapped the glass with her nail, like she could smudge the county seal. Dad said nothing. His silence arrived like a third person. Dad, I said softly, please. He inhaled, the kind of breath you take before anesthesia. It's true, he said, his eyes still on the table. Jerry saved the house. It's his. It took a second to land. Mom's mouth opened, closed, opened. You went behind my back. I saved our home, I said, keeping my hands flat on the table because I could feel them shaking. I let you stay because you're my parents. But you don't get to pretend it's yours to gift to Emma like a favor with my name erased. Emma's voice shot sharp. So, you're stealing our inheritance? Wow, it wasn't an inheritance, I said. It was a foreclosure. It was 2 liens. It was 6 years of me choosing you over vacations, over relationships, over sleep. Zach muttered. Man, this is so dramatic. Like he was at a movie he didn't like. Mom tried her old tool. Look at you, she said, tears conjured, throwing it in our faces. After everything we did. After I raised you. After you asked me for another $3,200 last week for utilities that were really a deposit for Emma's venue. My voice didn't rise. No more. The house is safe. You can live here under the agreement you signed. You cannot transfer it. And if you try, I'll get an injunction. I've already retained counsel. Emma stood up, her chair scraping across the floor. You're not invited to my wedding. I looked at her, then at Dad. You were going to sign it anyway, weren't you? He closed his eyes. I didn't know how to tell her. Mom slammed her hand on the table. Get out. Gladly, I said. I'll be by tomorrow with the lease addendum we talked about, Dad. Utilities in your name. No events at the house. That includes weddings. Emma laughed again, disbelief curdling into rage. You can't stop me. Try me, I said, and left before my hands could show how much they were shaking. I slept badly. It felt like post-op when a simple case bleeds, and you don't see it until recovery. I kept replaying the dinner, the sound of Dad's fork hitting the plate. I kept thinking about the girl I didn't marry because there was always some new family emergency. In the morning, the family group chat lit up. Mom, you made your father sick. Emma, you're unhinged. Zach's parents, we're ungrateful. Zach, lawyers, LOL. Dad sent nothing. Silence again. I drove to the house with the lease addendum and a bag of bagels, because I'm ridiculous like that. Dad met me in the driveway, hands in his pockets like a kid caught shoplifting. She won't sign, he said. She says it's an insult. It's a boundary, I said. Utilities, no events. If you want to keep living here, you follow the rule we set 2 years ago. He nodded, then squinted at the paper like the words kept moving. She's planning the rehearsal dinner for the backyard, he confessed. She says you can't stop a family celebration. I can, I said. And I will. Mom opened the door. No solicitors, she said to me, and shut it again. Dad winced. I didn't leave the paper. I emailed it instead. I CC'd the attorney who'd filed the deed. I turned off autopay on their cable and the catch-all family card I'd stupidly let Emma use for emergencies. I kept the mortgage handled because it was mine now, but I cut the pipeline everyone assumed was infinite. The next week was quiet, except for needles. Emma posted bridal shower photos. Grateful for my tribe. Mom posted a Bible verse about forgiveness with a caption that wasn't subtle. Some sons repay love with cruelty. Then came the rehearsal week scramble. A stranger called me from a 917 number. Hi, is this the owner of 114 Remington? The voice asked. I'm from Evergreen Tents. We're just confirming lawn stakes. We'll be there Friday at 9 o'clock. Cancel, I said. No events. The tenants are not authorized to schedule rentals. If you need documentation, email me. I gave the address. 10 minutes later, I sent the signed occupancy agreement. I CC'd Dad. I did not apologize. Emma called immediately. I let it go to voicemail. She texted, You petty little man. You're ruining my wedding. Then, you owe me. You owe us. Then, I swear on everything, you will regret this. I went for a run and silenced my phone. At mile 3, a resident paged me about a tibial plateau. At mile 4, the sky looked like rain. The rehearsal day came. No tents arrived. Emma posted a story of the backyard with a caption, "Haters can't stop love. They strung cafe lights instead." Fine. The lease said, "No events over 20 people." They had 32. I counted in the video. I did not send a notice. I am not a monster. I am a man who finally understands the difference between holding a boundary and scoring a point. Wedding day? Saturday. The plan, from what Emma had bragged about, was church at noon, photos at our childhood home, then a downtown venue. At 11:30 a.m., I scrubbed out of a quick wrist surgery. My phone buzzed, then buzzed again, then went static with vibration. I set it face down and checked the op note. When I flipped it, the screen read like a slot machine. Mom, Dad. Unknown. Emma. 12 missed calls became 21, then 49, then 60, stacked like dominoes. I didn't answer. I'm not proud. I just didn't. A text preview slid across the top. Mom. Jerry, please answer. Police are here. Another, Dad. It's about the house. Please. My chest went cold. I stepped into the hall and called Dad. He picked up on the first ring, breathing like he'd run. She called the cops, he said, without a hello. On you? What? She told the photographer the house was hers. The photographer set up in the living room. The neighbors complained about the cars on the lawn again. The patrol came. They asked who owned the property. Emma said we did. Mom said we did. I finally said your LLC did. The officer asked for proof. Emma told him you were lying to ruin her day. He called dispatch. They pulled the county record. And well, now there's an officer here saying the homeowner says no photos, no event unless the owner permits. The officer wants to talk to you. There are moments in surgery where you have 30 seconds to decide, and that decision determines everything. Plate or nail, cast or cut. This felt like that. I'm not coming, I said. Tell the officer he has my email. I'll send him the occupancy agreement and a written note allowing you and Mom to live there and have up to 20 guests, as agreed. No commercial shoots, no wedding parties. That was always the rule. He can enforce it if the crowd exceeds that. Jerry, Dad whispered. Shame and relief tangled in his voice. I'm sorry. I wrote the email. 2 PDFs attached. I CC'd Dad. I hit send. Then I turned my phone back over and went to see my post-ops, because bones do not wait for drama. At 3:12 p.m., Emma texted me a photo of her in her gown on the curb in front of the house. Mascara running, middle finger up. You ruined this. I looked at her face, the girl who used to fall asleep on my shoulder during thunderstorms, and I felt something painful and clean. I typed, I didn't ruin anything. I told the truth and enforced a boundary. You chose a lie and an audience. No reply. That night, Dad called again. They started late, he said, his voice softer. They moved photos to the church. It was tense. Your mother didn't talk to me for 2 hours. Zach's parents said we're ungrateful. Emma says she never wants to see you again. A pause. The officer asked if I wanted a copy of the county record. I said yes. I think I needed to see it in my hands. I'm sorry it was today, I said. I'm sorry it had to be at all, he replied. I slept like I hadn't in years. A week later, the azaleas were still blooming. The cafe lights were still up, swinging a little in the wind. I pulled into the driveway, not to fight, not to gloat, but to drop off a manila folder labeled simply, What Living Here Means. Mom didn't answer the door. Dad did. He looked older, but lighter, as if putting down the suitcase of a lie can make you taller. He led me to the kitchen. No roast chicken, no stage. Just coffee. He poured 2 cups and pushed one toward me. She thinks you humiliated her, he said. She says you made a scene. I didn't show up, I said, and smiled without humor. That was the point. He nodded. I told her the truth. Humiliated us, not you. The folder held the same things as the email. The occupancy agreement, a simple lease for $1 a year because I'm dramatic like that. A 1-page list. Utilities in their name. Lawn care their responsibility. No events over 20 guests. No alterations without consent. No liens. No loans. No signatures on anything with the address unless I sign too. Consequences clear. 2 written warnings, then termination of occupancy. Not threats. Boundaries. I can't sign for her, Dad said. I'm not asking you to, I said. I'm asking you to sign for you. He did. The pen shook. I didn't comment. When I stood to leave, Mom appeared in the doorway, arms folded. You're proud of yourself, she said. No, I said. I'm done with myself, with who I become in this house. An ATM with a stethoscope. She scoffed. You'll regret this when we're gone and there's no family left. I'll regret not stopping sooner, I said. I'll regret the years I missed because I was on hold for a plumber who wasn't real. I don't regret telling the truth. Emma didn't reach out. Zach unfriended me like we were in high school. My phone, weirdly, was quiet. In the silence, I noticed things. Morning light in my apartment. The taste of coffee I didn't gulp between calls. Laughter with colleagues that wasn't weight-bearing. I started saying no at work, too. I stopped taking every open call to help out. I saw a movie on a Tuesday. I texted a woman I'd met a month earlier and apologized for disappearing. We went for ramen. I took 2 weekends away to hike. My shoulders unclenched, like someone finally cut the suture hidden under my skin. 2 months later, an envelope arrived in my mailbox, handwritten, no return address. Inside was a photo, my dad on the porch holding a rake, grinning a little. The azaleas behind him. On the back, in his blocky print, paid the water bill on time. Fixed the step. It didn't kill me. A week after that, I got a text from a number I didn't have saved. It was Emma. House looks nice, she wrote. We're moving to an apartment closer to Zach's job. Cheaper, smaller. Fine. Then, after a pause so long I thought that was it. I was angry because I thought I was owed. I don't know how to be anything else here. I'm not apologizing. Another pause. Yet. I didn't dance. I didn't sprint to the porch. I typed, I hope you build something that's yours. She heart reacted, which is the most Emma thing possible. Mom still posts verses, some pointed, some not. We're civil when we need to be. I don't fix their internet anymore. I don't wire money. When Dad tries to slip cash into my pocket for coffee, I let him. He needs to feel like a father. I need to let him. Here's what I learned, and it's not profound, but it's mine. Love without boundaries is just guilt with better lighting. Being the steady one doesn't mean carrying everyone. It means setting the bones straight and letting the body do its work, even if it hurts. Especially if it hurts. My mom said, we're signing the house to your sister. My sister said, don't come to my wedding. I said, Dad, should I tell them, or will you? His fork dropped, and the truth landed. The calls came, 60 of them. I didn't answer. I answer to myself now. And the house. The house is finally just a house. Not a hostage. Not a trophy. A place with a lease on the fridge, a fixed porch step, and azaleas that bloom whether we deserve them or not. I won't be their bank. I won't be their villain. I won't be their hero either. I'll be Jerry. What about you? Have you ever had to draw a line in the sand with family, even when it felt like everything was going to fall apart? I'd really love to hear your experiences in the comments below.